realize, starting from the beginning, the very beginning of time, the concept of this conference is what? Unity, right? So when you check in Genesis, first things first, they were together first. Then God said in chapter 3, let us do something. So that means then they were together first. Then he implemented a part of media, which is sound. You know, a lot of times people talk about sound was the first thing. No. Unity was first. You know, and the thing is, in reading the Bible, it's amazing. Something else Dr. Monroe used to talk about, where the more you read the Bible over and over and over again, all of a sudden, there's the little things that start to come out at you. And when you read it, and when I got the communication from Minister Tracy that the concept and the theme was unity, I was like, okay, start doing my research. Where did this whole unity thing start? And on my phone, Genesis, from the beginning, think about it. And the next thing that I've realized, and this is going to be a very controversial statement, but I can back it up. I feel and believe that it's actually the worshipers, when they have unity, they are the ones that can change the world. Think about it. At the beginning, an entity was there. The entity had unity. Then the entity gave a command using sound. Then the whole world was put together. You see how that works? And just reading and studying that, it really blew my mind, because the reality is this: God has a very interesting sense of humor. And I know everybody who studied the Bible and read the Bible realized that, hey, when you look back and see what God is taking you through, and you're trying to figure out, how did that happen? And it happens in such a way that it just makes sense. Now, I drew that analogy because when is the other time do we realize when things like that happen? Where you now get a revelation from the Lord, things just make sense. All of a sudden you have a strategy or plan of action to a problem that you had in worship. That's happened for me. Has it ever happened to anybody else? Where you get when you get into worship and everything just flows and it just comes together. And as Pastor Mark used to talk about, and Dr. Miles, and even other books I read, and I know Mr. Tracy talked about it, Pastor Carl talks about it, Dandria talks about it, and it's actually one of the teachings that you share here a lot in the 7 levels of praise and worship. When you get to the last phase, where all the technical stuff, all the things that need to be done, all the unity has already been put in place. Now it just gets quiet. And then you get instructions. You get revelation. You get rebuke. You get information. You start to realize, okay, now I see what I need to do. So now the next challenge, though, is how do we now accomplish that? Because a lot of times, and when I walked in, Mr. Tracy talked about it, the challenge that we have is bringing things together, right? And when we saw the definition of unity, where it says, actually read it with me, what does it say? Ensures multiple factors, togetherness and sound. So now from my aspect, I'm talking about audio. So I'm talking about all the different things that have to be in place. And I see some worship leaders here, I see leaders, I see drama directors, I see musicians. I have a question for y'all. Now, what are some of the things that need to be unified, that need to come together to give us unity? Give me some suggestions. Any? Music is one. Musicians. What else? Voices. What else? Say again? Mindset. Did someone say lead? Well, I'll say lead. The lead person who's up there. Now, this is where sometimes a lot of people stop, but the rabbit hole goes a little bit deeper. Okay? Before I go, anybody have any more suggestions? Any more answers before I go on? The technical backup. I can remember that one. The audio. What else? The visual. The media. The congregation. Now look at that. Now I stopped there for a second because a lot of times the audience, see, I'm talking to you. Now, I have a microphone and I'm sharing what I'm saying with you. But now, once you go a little further in the presentation, if I'm not connecting with you, microphone or not, you can tune me out. You're gonna sit and be like, okay, the Packers are gonna be on in 20 minutes, and yeah. Or if it's women, be like, I wouldn't even try. I wouldn't even try mimic what women do, because then I don't know how you do that. Like 3,000 ideas going at the same time. Guys, we just be like, money, food. What if she mad at me? Politics, the game, gas, BPL, gotta pay that bill. Ooh, they could turn my light off. And I want my AC on so I could go home and watch the game after service. This is in the middle of place of worship now. You see where you're coming from? And so the audience. Here's another one you didn't think about. The room. Now, let's go further down this rabbit hole. The reason why I put this in the presentation, because a lot of times we are not fully prepared. If we go up there, if we go to another place, if you go to an outside venue, you think you get your game on, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And because, like Mr. Tracy say, if you're running late and you're rushing, you grab the mic, and then all of a sudden, oh, why do I, hello? Hello, echo. Why do I sound like this? I don't sound like my powerful self. I don't sound like James Earl Jones. Well, I mean, and then that's affecting your inner game, because now you're thinking, okay, it's a distraction. And that's one of the biggest things we all know in ministry. That is one of the biggest things. That's the biggest weapons that the devil uses. Distraction. I read it wrong. One mentor I say is a yes. Okay? So now that's for acoustics. And I really want to touch on this a little bit later, because this is actually a variable that you can use in your favor when you're singing. Like, for example, I'm doing it right now. If I speak really, really, really fast, the acoustics in this room are going to make my voice sound jumbled and indistinct. So I change my pace. I speak slower. You hear that echo after my voice. But everything I say, you can now hear me. And it creates an impact. So that means the technical person in the back there, he doesn't have to do any ninjutsu or anything like that to make my voice sound effective, because I'm using my voice, this mic, and the room to my advantage. See? So that's something, that's a little trick that I've learned. I'm doing this for years, and I'm actually now going away and speaking and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, God, boy, you got a sense of humor, eh? Because I didn't realize that. It wasn't until I watched, Les Brown. He cracked a joke and he was talking really fast. Then he stopped himself. Then he said it again. Then the person's get it. Then the Lord hit me. He's like, see what he did? He used the fact that he was talking too fast. The room didn't sound right. And then he just adjusted what he was doing to bring across his point. Nothing technical yet, except the fact that he's using a microphone. Everybody follow me so far? Okay, here's another one. Now, this one, I'm going to have to tell you a story about this one, because I actually learned this one back in 2001, where I was a lead musician in a church in Florida, Revealing Truth Ministries, and the music director, the praise and worship minister, he had me standing up for months, just watching and paying attention to what's going on the stage. And one Sunday, he just called me and said, hey, I'm going to be running a bit late, so I need you to run things for me until I reach. I'm like, when? This Sunday. Which Sunday? This Sunday. For which church? This church. This church, like right now, this church? The church that you play for? He's like, yeah, this church. I'm like, you ain't serious? I'm like, wait, hold on. I've only been standing here for like 6 to 8 months, just watching. He's like, yeah. But it's something I need you to understand, though. I'm like, nah, you can give me lessons when not a pressure hit? He's like, no, I want you to pay attention to something, okay? One, follow the overwhelming or the overriding or the definite vision and spirit of the church first. And the thing is, I remember, oh, that's what he said in the training. What was the first thing we did? Yeah, he told me what the vision was for the church. And then the ball started to roll. I was like, okay, now I understand. Because then the vision and the mantra of the church was always serving leadership, relationship, understanding God's word, realizing your role and effectiveness in worship. So when he said that word spirit, things started to lock in place like a Lego board. And the first thing that he normally did that I didn't understand until that moment was, before service start, everybody go in the back, pray. Go pray, line up yourselves accordingly. Anything that is not of what we're about to do, we got to deal with it. Because when we get out there, two things are going to happen. The presence can happen, and if you're not ready, problems will happen. So you need to be aware of what's going on. But if everybody's the same spirit and everybody realizing that, okay, this is the vision, this is the goal, this is what we're going to do, then no matter what happens out there, good or bad, we know what our vision is. We know where we're going. And a lot of people say it's magic and all this type of stuff. No, once all those things come together, all those variables, then when the tech kicks in, all we're doing is reproducing what came forth. Now, one of my disciplines is audio engineering, and the other term for that is called sound reinforcement. Ain't sound magic. It ain't, we're not creating this all new sound and all that type of stuff. No. What we're doing is we're taking the product that's a reflection of the unity, the singers, the lead, the audience, the acoustic, the spirit, all of you coming together, grabbing this mic, and now giving us a product to push through the system to give to the audience. That's why I put the audience in there. Because they're a factor where if it don't sound right, if they see you ain't doing something right, you're going to get disconnect. And if you get a disconnect, what happens? No unity. Going back to the theme of this conference. Everybody follow me so far? Okay. Now we're going to go. This is where things are going to get entertaining. Okay. First thing. I know I'm going to get in trouble with that one. What does that say? So that means then I must take it upon myself to be able to use whatever instrument that I'm using, voice, percussion, keyboards, guitar, a sitar, congo, whatever, a violin. I have to make sure it on me first to sound good without this. Because, as I said earlier, we are reproducing. And I know that the re is one prefix that y'all know very well in this ministry. Y'all know the prefixes and how they function. So all I'm doing is just taking, all we're doing is taking the product, processing it. That's you. Now we do have some things to help, to sweeten it up. Thank you so much. That's the perfect word. Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Yes, we have things to sweeten it up. But first things first, you gotta sound good without help. Now, I'm not sure everybody can see that picture too well, but who was it? And all right, I just letting you know, you're still safe. I ain't crossing over. I just letting you know, I saved. Who's ever heard of the group Boys to Men? Oh, lovely. All right, now that ain't them. But these guys, they are the most awarded vocal group in history. Thank you so much. That's Take Six. Now, the reason why I use them, I was in a scenario where I actually had the privilege to work monitors for them recently, and it hit me. I mean, it really hit me that their work ethic, as far as what they do, it was so serious. You think they doing surgery? But the things that they were doing, all right, like, so for example, they knew, okay, it's Take Six. They know we're a team. They already know what we're going to do. They already know what we're going to sing. You know what they did after that? I was standing there with the mic like, hi, when you're ready, use your mic. They said, okay, hold on, 1 second. They huddled. They prayed. They said, okay, Lord, we know we're coming out here to do. We rely on you to give us the courage, give us understanding, give us the sensitivity to be able to give these persons the experience they paid for, and give us the strength and give us the unity to continue doing this, not just for this show, but for the next. Then they grabbed the mic, and then they did something else that I'm going to talk about very soon. They grabbed their mics, they looked at it, they got familiar with it. You on? Yep, I'm on. You on? You on? Okay. They pointed me, okay, tech guy, tell the guy in the back we're ready to go. They walked up there, start singing like angels. I'm like, wow. They ain't safe. As far as I know. But the experience that the people had, you think they went to church? See them? But they sang, they were doing different songs, and the persons, they sat there mesmerized the whole set. We was doing the tech. I'm standing there mesmerized. I'm like, how come it's so happening in church? It really makes you think. And from then, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn from them, because something they doing, it working. And the thing is, it's the same concept, the same things that we need to do in the church to get it together. All right. Now, here's the next thing. Now this is where we're going to go a little bit in the technical side. This is where we ask for persons who are doing, especially when we, as far as audio engineers and sound persons, giving you what you want, we need for you to set the optimal melody. Now, what do I mean by that? You see I'm holding this mic? You see, so you can hear me. So in the back there, the tech, he doesn't have to do much, because I'm talking right now, and now he can make things sound good. He can make me sound better if he want to, if I sound good, if I sound bad. That on him. But right now you can hear me. See where you come from? All right. Now, this is something that I normally use when I'm training young people and other techs and stuff. That's just something called a compressor. I'm just giving you one tip from the audio handbook, because we ain't got the time. But this one tip, that graph right there, that pretty much tells when you give the tech your optimal levels, they can use with this device to set your voice. Actually take the top parts off that you don't need, bring up the low parts where you really need to hear, and pretty much adjust your voice right here, so it always stays right in front of you. But that doesn't happen unless you give us in the rehearsal your optimal levels. If you're a speaker, if you're a musician, it's the same thing, same concept. You'll be surprised how much of a better product you'll get if you do not play possum during your rehearsals and give the people in the back, video tech, what they need. you'll have a better product to now translate, be unified, and get a better sound. I talked about it earlier with Take 6. Remember that you're a team, because when you're up here, especially from the audio standpoint, if 3 of you are together, one of you doing your own thing, the lead says, let's go here, and you're supposed to sing in a version. For my musical people, you know what that means. The version means your voice, the structure of the chord just switches. Someone stays there, it's off. All of a sudden it sounds different. Unity is broken, sound change. You lost your audience. They blinking at you like, what in the world just happened? And now you have to go back and try resurrect it. And for lead singers, that's rough. Because now he has to adapt and say some type of transitionary or something that just throw you off, throwing scripture in there to get back to where you were going. This next thing. Now, I get in trouble for this, but I have to say it. For better unity and for better sound from the singing and for praise and worship, that word right there, musician arrangement. Now, a lot of times, musicians, they feel like, hey, I'm going to play, do my thing, and it sounds like New Orleans up there, where now the keyboard doing a whole bunch of stuff, the bass player doing a whole bunch of stuff, the drummer, he practicing all the stuff that he learned on YouTube yesterday. The singer's trying to mimic Tasha Cobbs because she heard it on the radio yesterday, and she'd be like, boy, if I put this run in there, I can sound good. No. Don't do it. Because now you're going against being unified. You're going against what you did in instruction. You're going against what you did in rehearsal. So now everything falls apart again, and then the crowd looks at you and blinks. Child, that one was old, that child was off. And now the lead singer, or the person who's moderating, he picks up on it. He feels it. He gets it. Now he got to turn to y'all. She's going to try not to turn back at y'all and look at you and be like, what you doing? And then now he's going to have to try fix it. Okay? Musician arrangement. Musicians. For the musicians that I hear and those who want to be musicians and even singers, I am going to leave you with this one tip. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Another one of my mentors, he used to play for Luther Vandross, and he told me, Todd, look, you'll be surprised how simple some of the biggest hits are, but it's just because of the arrangement and how all these things are doing something simple together at the same time. It seems complicated, but once you separate it, I'm like, wow, that's true. All that piano player doing, he's doing bling, 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 but then the violin doing something counterpoint to him. When you put that together, all of a sudden it's this advanced arrangement. But keep it simple. I'm just getting into the speaking arena, and I realized in the last year or so, I know Mr. Ethan, Mr. Tracy, Pastor Dave, the other Pastor Dave, Mr. Kirsch, they always say the same thing. Say less. Keep it simple. Do not get all wordy and use words like, the exegetical skills of my hermeneutical skills are just therefore given me. People are like, what? Sweet boy, what you mean? Keep it simple. You say, keep it simple. All right, so as far as musicians and singers, always think about that. Keep it simple, because coming together as a group, you'll be surprised the impact that you get. All right? And that's why I talked about as far as vocal arrangement. Know where your strengths are. Work it. I am not Dr. Monroe, so I am not going to start talking about stuff in Hebrew, because the only thing I know is mamlakak. That's it. I can do it. I stay in my lane. The singers know how to sing. Stay in my lane. That's it. Once you maximize the lane that you're in, you'll be surprised how effective you can be. Okay? This is something that I feel that a lot of churches are starting to get, and I know that the more you do it, the better you get as far as creating unity transitions. Using simple things, again, I'm going to pull it from the speaker's handbook, because now I can relate. Things like pauses, using different phrases to carry things from one thing from the next. Singers have to do the same thing. When you're singing, remember, especially background singers, I have to say this. Background singers and musicians, watch the leader And when all else fails, if the leader isn't doing something, then watch who is your determined leader when the leader is not there. Which, that goes back to preparation with Mr. Tracy talk about. If Minister Tracy gets slain in the spirit and that's supposed to happen, then now there's supposed to be a game plan in place. In business, they always talk about that. In business, they call it redundancy. If something go down, what's the backup? If something happens, if Mr. Tracy gets slain, Pastor Dave gets slain, the whole front row gets slain, what you gonna do? You can sing it. Well, how you can sing it? How you can do it? How you can do it? Who's the point person? What do you do? All these things you have to start. This comes from practice. This comes from preparation. Okay? Next. Now this one I've learned when I was away as a music director. The pastor told me this. He said, if you want to be effective, know exactly what your instrument sounds like when you in worship by yourself. Because when you get in worship with people, you know exactly how to fit in. You're not experimenting. When worship kicks in, if Mr. Tracy or the front row is in slain and he's talking, then as a musician, when I am in worship at home, you know the Lord is going to put things in place and be in order. So then now when everybody comes together, you now know what to do, because then he's going to bring it back to your remembrance and he's going to give you instructions. But then if you don't go into worship by yourself, you don't know what to do when you get there. And that goes back to what Ms. Tree said earlier. It creates what? The lovely D word that we don't like to use in worship, distraction, which causes a discord, which causes a division, which is the opposite of unity. Okay? Everybody follow me so far? You with me? Okay. This is another thing. This is actually one of the hidden keys that I want to give you before I go as far as unity and sound dynamics. Being able to use your instrument, use it in quiet times, talk loudly to actually bring across an effect. And I need to bring this up because I want you to realize something. I'm giving you some audio techniques that we use just not from a technical aspect or standpoint, because we normally use dynamics in back there to work with you. But like I said earlier on in the beginning, if you don't sound good, well, we can work with. Now, if you sound good, and we also use dynamics, then all of a sudden you realize, wow, wasn't that a great experience? Yeah, because you were prepared. The tech guy trying his best to be prepared in the back there, and you now come across a better product that brings across unity, that brings across effectiveness, that brings across revelation, that brings across the instruction to change the world. Okay? Next. Understand your location. I'm going to touch on this because this is a problem that I realize a lot of churches have, right? Realizing what you have to work with when you go to different locations. Now, I know you've seen situations like that before when you're in an event and the MC walks in front of the speaker, and things are very interesting. Even like right now, I'm cognizant, just because I know this environment, I'm cognizant not to walk right over there, because that's going to cause feedback. So I know from experience, I'm going to stay right in here. And because I can stay right in here, the technician in the back, he can now amplify my voice. He can make it sound even clearer if he wants to, because now I'm respecting where I am. I'm staying within the boundaries, but I'm still maximizing it. Okay? Now, in this picture that I want you to look at, that's the usual setup for like churches, concerts, and that type of thing, right? You see that little orange square? That's pretty much your reference area. It's not those big speakers. You know, some singers normally come to us and text and be like, hey, I will feel it. Turn me up. I want you rock this room. Look at that orange square. Where you standing? You think you're in the center, but now look and see, you're standing behind the main speakers. You do not have the reference point that we have. You see the box right there at the bottom? That's where the sound guy is. Just like right now, here in this ministry, that booth is in the back. They're the ones that actually are getting the more accurate representation of your sound. Now, that orange box, or this space up here, this is your domain. If you cannot hear yourself properly up here, now that's a problem. We need to get it together. But then, it goes back to what I said earlier. Even if you're in that orange box, and you have a powerful sound system, if you don't sound good without the equipment, okay. Just letting you know, all right? Now, here's another point. That's what I talked about earlier. It's called understanding your reference, okay? Now, I know, trust me, I know, being a musician, and even for a short stint, like leading worship when I was in the States, you have to understand your reference. So, therefore, you always have a chance to talk to your tech person to really get an understanding of where exactly is the best point for your speakers. And the reason why I say that as I go on is because I want everybody to realize there's a statement that happens a lot of times that singers, musicians don't realize, that the human ear is an organ, not a muscle. I know you keep on hearing me say that. Now, for those who want to get the information on more details on what I said about there, you guys let me know afterwards. But it's a reason why I want to point that out, especially that number. And I can show you little tips and tricks where you could actually maximize your room, what you're hearing, and how you're presenting yourself, so that you do not have that. I'll go back so you can see for a second. See that? See that combination right there? Audible desensitivity. That just means that the more you stand in front of a speaker, or if you're in the wrong spot, or if you crank your speakers up to 3,000 in your headphones, your ears are not going to get stronger like the Hulk. Nope, it don't work. It's actually the opposite is going to happen. Your ears are going to start shutting you down and start turning things down. And then you know what's going to happen after that? Turn me up. Turn me up. I can't hear myself. Audio guy in the back. You safe? You ain't paying attention. No, physics just kicked in. Look at that circle. See? Always remember that. Okay? This is just something I talked about earlier that we learned, and also that I use in trainings for other churches now and consulting, where desired sound can be achieved more quickly and consistently by understanding the basics of the instrument, your voice, your instrument, what you're using, without help. The moment now technology kicks in, it just amplifies it and makes it sound better. Okay? I talked about this earlier as well. Mic operation, microphone technique. You see what I'm doing right now? I'm holding the microphone, and I've watched the praise team. Y'all have gotten better, like the Lord. Y'all have gotten better. Where you hold the mic, and it's at the right distance so that things can be translated properly. So y'all really know what to do. I'm proud of y'all. So proud of y'all. I flew back in, and I was watching a piece of it last night, and I'm like, look at that. They're working the mics. Thank you. Praise the Lord. So y'all have learned that mic technique is your friend. This last statement that I want to share, the same statement that says copy and learn. There's a line that I learned from Dr. Monroe that stuck with me. Nothing wrong being a copycat, but you copy the right cat. So singers, speakers, musicians, yeah, copy and learn from the greats out there. Then you make it part of what you do. Then you can be more effective. Then you can come together more effective in unity. All right? And I talked about that as well. Now, that part, y'all got it. Y'all ain't got to worry about that. This is the last thing I want to share with you. Okay? You know, this statement, I have to share this statement because this causes contention between techs, sound engineers, singers all over the world. That equation right there. You know the statement when they say, "Can you please set it and forget it?" When they tell a tech, "Please just set the levels, leave it." That equation right there pretty much says why. This is very simple math. All that little p means is called resistivity, which means how much a sound can travel through a particular space. R just means what's stopping it. A is the area of the room, L is the length of the room. Now, the only thing that you only change in most situations is how much things are in a room. So on a Saturday morning, Thursday night, when you have a rehearsal, and when you do sound check and everybody be like, woo, it sounded so good. The Spirit moved. What did the tech do? The tech ain't doing nothing. All the tech did was turn the stuff back on. Why? Because the two things that we do have control over is the resistance in the room, meaning that the amount of people that came in the room. Okay? So as people come in, your sound changes. Then he has to make the change. So please stop saying set and forget it, because that's not going to work. That's just, now I'm giving you mathematical proof. We could talk and deliberate about it later on, but I'm just letting you know. Okay? And these things right here, these are the last things that I want to share with you, where in worship, if you did it in sound check, right? I want you to realize something. If you did it in sound check, or if you did it in the rehearsal on Thursday night, those things right there, if you do those things the same way, the same timing, if you played the same way during the rehearsal when y'all went into worship, if you were standing the same spot, if the room was the same, the location, if the relationship between the singers and the band at that time, in the rehearsal, in the sound check where the Spirit moved, if that's the same, and as a result the same Spirit occurred, then you will be able to have the same experience that you had on Saturday on Sunday. Only then. And the thing is, like I said that equation earlier, because the room changed, your sound changes. Now, the good news is this. In the preparation, like Mr. Tracy said, if everything else lines up, where now in practice everybody knows this is what we're going to do. If such and such and such and such and such happens, then all of this will kick into play, and you still will be able to have the unity that you need to bring across the message. Because like I said earlier, it's the worshipers that can change the world. Because it's the worshipers that get the revelation in worship. And the only way to get the revelation in worship is when you pay attention and you give reverence and you're working together in unity. How do you get the unity? By understanding leadership, instructions, what you're going to do, respect people's roles, know your roles, so that when you do come together, and then when you do get into worship and everything falls in place, then the Lord will be able to come in the last level of the 7 levels of praise and worship, where everything has been put in place, and then he can say, my child, this is what I need you to do. This is how you move. This is how you be agent of change. This is how you change the world. I end with this statement. This scripture used to bug me. But then I realized, it's in the Bible for a reason. You learn from it. And everybody knows that scripture, where the Lord said, for that particular instance, I use my hermeneutics there, where he gave them props. He gave the children of the darkness props for their technique, for being unified to be effective. Why the children of the light are doing the same thing? And that's my presentation. Thank you so much.